100% glad. This guy plays like he's been in the league for 18 years, not 18 years old. Had over 70% of the votes last year as the Calder Trophy winner, and deservedly so, in what was such a tightly contested Calder Trophy as well. But this guy is every bit as good as advertised. Talk to him on the ice, talk to him off the ice. He's a man. He's smooth. He's professional. He's hardworking. He's humble. He wants to be great. When he was at All-Star Weekend in Columbus, he looked just like every other All-Star that was there last year. Not awed by the moment at all. 18 years old. Love watching this guy play.
Thank you, Jameson. Yes, that special guest is Elliot Friedman. He's our NHL Network insider, here to give us the inside scoop on things around the National Hockey League. And Elliot, with the start of the regular season rapidly approaching, there's some pretty interesting waiver moves. What are some of the bigger ones?
Well, the one that caught us most by surprise today, Jamie, was the Philadelphia Flyers putting defenseman Andrew McDonald, who has 5 years remaining on his contract, on the waiver wire. We've seen some pretty big names go out this route the last couple of days. The Chicago Blackhawks put one of their Stanley Cup heroes, Brian Bickle, on there. He didn't get claimed. I would be surprised if McDonald got claimed, simply because teams are looking at this and saying they don't want to add contracts that have term on them. But I'll give you one name that did surprise us a little bit today, a younger player by the name of Frankie Corrado, who plays for the Vancouver Canucks. He was told in the summer to go get an apartment, that he was going to be a member of the team this year, but he was beaten out for a job by another young player and was put on waivers. I would be surprised if he does not get claimed by noon Eastern time on Tuesday, but there's no question that teams are looking at some of the depth moves they've made over the past couple of years and said, we've gotten in some trouble and we're hoping we can find a way to get out of it.
Well, you mentioned that Tuesday deadline. That is when teams have to announce their final rosters. Any surprises to you as to who made that roster for opening night?
Well, I don't know if it's so much surprises, but I think a lot of us are very curious to see Dylan Larkin with the Detroit Red Wings. Jack Eichel was the best player last year in NCAA college hockey. He, of course, was drafted second overall by the Buffalo Sabres. But the number 2 player, even in terms of points per game and excitement after Eichel last year, was probably Dylan Larkin, who played at the University of Michigan, a Detroit draft pick. Well, after last year, he left and he joined the Red Wings. And, you know, the Red Wings are probably the NHL's most patient organization. Young players do not get opportunities in Detroit. They go to the American Hockey League, they learn their craft, and eventually they get called up. Well, that's not the case with Dylan Larkin, a really talented young player. He's made this team for opening night. I think a lot of us are very curious to see where he gets slotted there. There's a chance he could play with the likes of Henrik Zetterberg and Justin Abdelkader on the first line. He played in the wing last year in the American Hockey League in the playoffs. I'm really curious to see where the Red Wings use him, because their way is, you're not going to be here if you can't play the role you're supposed to play. And Dylan Larkin is supposed to play the role of a points creator.
Right to the next question. So which team that didn't make the playoffs last season, Columbus didn't, will make it this season, sticking with the Blue Jackets?
I'm sticking with the Blue Jackets. Nick Foligno was awesome last year. He played like a man possessed last year. The intensity that he brought to the rink every game, that's why he was an all-star there in front of their great fans at Nationwide Arena, and he deserved to be. Ryan Johansson, to me, he's a 2.0 version of Jamie Benn. He's also from BC, out in town in the West Coast. I don't know if he can fight, but I know that he's a tough player in terms of his skill game. And when you just look at how they round out that group, I just think that they're a hard team to play against. They have guys that want to be difference makers. Columbus is a team that scares everybody. And you know what? I certainly think that they can get in the playoffs this year. I really do.
They're in. Yeah, my predictions, they're in, for sure. I'm going with, sticking with the theme, Boston. They're getting in this year. And, you know, their blue line's a little scary as far as with the injury with Seidenberg and some of the youth going on there. But I think the additions and Krejci and that guy right there, Rats, he's going to play a ton this year again. I think they're going to get back in. I think they're going to do some damage. I think they like playing for Clove. It's one of those years where he's going to be talked about all the time early, which is unfair. But they're going to get in, and I think they're going to be a really good team this year after this match.
The best part about this is we get this on tape, and we can look back on it.
There you go.
And Steve, you're in check, right?
No problem.
All right.
About a total overhaul right there.
there. After spending the last 10 seasons in Detroit, Mike Babcock, he takes over the reins for the Leafs. And then it's somewhat of a surprising move. Lou Lamoriello leading the Devils after 28 years to become the GM in Toronto, hired by President Brendan Shanahan, who drafted Lamoriello drafted Shanahan, rather, with the second pick overall back in 1987. We've heard from almost everybody in Toronto that, look, this is going to be a process. It's going to take time. How much time do we think, and what are the expectations realistically for this season for the Leafs?
Hey, listen, I'm a Toronto kid, so let me just put it out there and just say this right now. I think that the city of Toronto, all the fans, it's the fourth largest city in North America. Listen, there's going to have to be some patience here. They have to allow these three people to do what they do. And you brought in the best of the best. So here's the question now. You bring in Lou Lamoriello, and I remember playing in Jersey, and we'd come back to the Prudential Center the odd time he wasn't on a road trip. It's 1-something, 2-something in the morning. His lights on in the office. He's still at work watching games. Hardest working senior executive I've seen in the game. Now you have Shanny, who's beyond bright. Had the pleasure of playing him twice, Hall of Famer. Blue Hall of Famer, and now you bring in Mike Babcock that's won a Stanley Cup and been to a Cup final. How do you argue with what these guys are selling? You can't argue with what they're selling, and you know it's going to be about detail. That team right there, we played against that team in the 2002 Stanley Cup final. We were overmatched. That's a Hall of Fame team right there. We had no chance against that team with the Carolina Hurricanes. And just saying that, these guys know what it takes to win. They know what it takes to be successful. Their imprints are going to be all over the franchise here in Toronto. But you know this as well as I do, George. It's going to take time.
It's going to take a lot of time to get there. I remember Ronnie Wilson went in there. What years it was, and it was rebuilding him and Vernon.
Yep.
And they put it out there that we have to get better. We're going to have to rebuild here. The second year, after a tough first year, the second year started the same way. Then it started happening with the media, with the people. I think Ronnie, I'm not sure, I think it lasted 3 years. He was out of there. I don't know that for sure. But what I like what they did already, today or yesterday, was they sent down Nylander, they sent down Kapanen. From what I understand, they had really good camps. They're making a statement right away. The kids aren't playing there right now. You can see some of the veterans they brought in. It's just allow these kids to get ready down the minors and play in that American Hockey League and go about their business. They need to be upfront and tell the people, it's going to take time. I'll put a year on it. I think it's 4 years away. No, Mike Babcock's a really good coach. Look, you talked about Lou and Shanahan. They're not playing though. They need to get the pieces of the puzzle playing and then gelling into a team, so it's going to take time. I'm really anxious to see what that community out there does after 1 year, and then maybe halfway through that second year, do they have their hands up in the air again?
So you just said Babcock, a really good coach, and really good coaches like to win. You're smiling right now. How frustrating must that be then?
Well, Michael knows what he's getting into here. And that's an important thing with coach and management. What is our philosophy? What is our organizational philosophy? I'm sure that was talked about when Mike was going along with the teams and talking to them. It's a tremendous challenge for him because he likes to win. He's hard. I think he's fair, but he pushes. And I think that's the proper way to push people and develop an organization. But how much of the losing will wear on him? I'm anxious to see. But he needs to stay within it. He needs to be the same one. Those three need to be sane. I think there's going to be some insanity going on around them as this goes into 2 and 3 years. Because it's going to take that long. They have a ways to go.
Listen, what are the Leafs? What are they? Aside from the name and a great brand and one of the original 6 franchises in our NHL history, I asked that question rhetorically because they haven't defined who they are as a franchise, how they're going to play night in, night out, game in, game out. So all those things now are in this rebuild process, and it's going to take some time to do that. It's tough to rebuild at the best, at the highest, at the National Hockey League level. It's very difficult to do. It's going to take time.
I don't know if this makes sense, but would getting off to a hot winning streak for the Leafs be maybe the worst thing for this rebuild? They were temporary. Okay, there it is.
They're not going to.
Okay, and there it is. Another storyline from this past offseason. Phil Kessel, now a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins, after being traded this summer. Kessel for Tyler Biggs and defenseman Tim Erickson dealt to the Pens in exchange for pair forwards, defensemen, and a third-round pick in next year's draft. George, I want to start with you. How do you see Kessel, a guy who has so much firepower, offensive ability, fitting in with the Penguins, who have a lot of firepower and offensive ability?
The first thing I think of is the puck big enough for all of them. It's easy to look on paper and see the talent they have up front. The up front talent they have is the puck big enough, especially when it comes to their power play. I'm really anxious to see how Mike does that and works that into their power play. Are they together? Are they in different units? I think Phil is going to have a great year. I really do. No matter who he plays with, I think he's going to have a great year. Can they play in a team concept? That's a key. I think that's a key for Pittsburgh, period. Can they play under a team concept? Because they've struggled with that a little bit over the past few years.
And how much of that goes back on the coaching?
Yeah. Again, Mike's a very smart coach. He knows what's ahead of him here. Bringing in another guy like this feels different. Great kid. I think he's a little misunderstood. I think he's a little awkward sometimes. But I think he's a great kid. It's understanding the person. It's a huge part of the coach's job. It's understanding personalities and to get these strong personalities and egos to mesh together as a team. I think Pittsburgh has struggled, especially in the playoffs the past 2 years, to stay as a team when things go a little crazy and maybe in a bad way.
You're right. There's been a lot of movement in the top six for Pittsburgh as well. And you look at the Penguins, they lost James Neal. He comes out of the mix in the Hornquist trade. But I like Hornquist for the Penguins. But James Neal was a 40-goal scorer. But I like the fit of Hornquist because he's willing to go to the net and do a lot of dirty things to score goals. Now, in getting Phil Kessel, I talked to Sidney Crosby about it. He was really excited when they got him. He said, this guy can play. He can fly. That's coming from Sidney Crosby, but what I like about Phil Kessel is when you look at this top line, if they start off with Sidney Crosby, a healthy Kunitz, who played on the Canadian Olympic team, not to mention in Sochi, and in Phil Kessel, there is a lot of unselfishness on that line. And Chris Kunitz is a guy that's willing to jam to score goals, and Phil Kessel's been accustomed to scoring goals without anybody around him, because he's had to do that in Toronto. He didn't have great defensemen that were playing with him that could get him a lot of looks. He didn't have the best of the top six cast and the number one center. So I think if he scores 30 to 35 for Jimmy Rutherford and the Penguins, I think it's going to be a good year for him. But all things being equal, I know Kessel is very rejuvenated to be there, and Crosby and the rest of them are very happy to have him there.
At Penguins practice this morning, the lineup, top line, Kunitz, Crosby, and Kessel on that right side. Is that what you would do if you were coaching this team?
Well, coaches have different philosophies. My philosophy, if you ask me, I move them around. I'd have them playing with both guys as the year goes on, and I think he will. I don't think he get locked into one line. So I'd have him moved all over the place, and I'm interested to see how Mike handles it. My worry for Pittsburgh is their back end. It really concerns me looking at the back end, how much pressure is going to be on that young kid, Mata. It worries me. Their goaltender is going to have to play, Kevin, just as good as he did last year.
It was amazing last year. Flower was great last year. I thought it was the best type season, but you just mentioned something about moving him around. So from your perspective as a coach, why would you do that? Is it something just for different combinations or to keep the other teams off balance?
Well, it's a number of things, even more than that. I think Malkin is going to want him. And this is part of it. Let's face it, guys. You have to make them happy sometimes. I have made huge mistakes and getting a little stubborn sometimes and not understanding this type of situation. You have some strong personalities. You have some quality players on that team, and everybody knows that Phil is. He's going to score goals. So I think they all want him a little bit. And it goes down to my opening comments. Okay, but the coach is going to make those decisions. You guys have to play as a team. And I think it's a huge year for Pittsburgh. Can they play as a team? If they can, they'll be dangerous. If not, they may not get in.
Back to the Steven Stamkos Tampa Bay situation. Final year of that contract. You were hoping it was going to get done before the regular season started. It didn't. Will this be a distraction this year?
Well, let me just first preface it by saying this. All you Tampa fans, we're all wearing blue suits. That's not a sign of anything, okay? So we don't know anything that you don't know from that standpoint, but I certainly believe it can and will be a distraction now. Most importantly, great people are involved here, starting with Steven Stamkos. He's an A-class talent and an A-class person. You know what you're getting from him. He can do so many things on the ice. We know the goal-scoring prowess, but he leads this team by example. He's learned so much from great leaders around him, especially Marty St. Louis during his early days. But I got a feeling that the longer this goes, and this looks as though it could potentially go long, the less the chances of him potentially staying there. This is really a big situation for the Tampa Bay Lightning, starting with their owner, Jeff Bennett, and how it will be managed, of course, by John Cooper and Steve Yzerman.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things. They have a number of players to sign after Steve. We talked about it in the room. Players Association have put pressure on Steve to do the best he can as far as his contract is. He wants to play center. I think that is going to be brought into this here. I think it will be a distraction. It couldn't not be because of the name and what he's done. And again, they didn't win the Stanley Cup. If he scores on half of his scoring chances in that series against Chicago, they win. If Crawford doesn't play the way he played against him in Game 4, I bet you Tampa wins Game 5. He is, Kevin said, he has developed into a good player from a good family. I'm really anxious to see what happens here, but I think it will be a distraction.
We use the term distraction. What about motivation, Kev? Is this something that could really ramp up? Not that Steven Stamkos needs motivation, but can he elevate his game even more?
I think there's still some room in his ceiling, no question. You just look at how he's rounded out his game and how much more elements he has to his game. He checks without the puck. He can kill penalties. He blocks shots. Defensively responsible. Go back to the time in Boston when he actually broke his leg a couple years ago. That was not a back check. 180 feet all the way back to his own net and crashed into his own net. So this is a real complete player, no longer just a player that people identify as being a one-trick guy, as being a goal scorer, a one-timer. Let's follow up on that point that you mentioned as far as the NHLPA. Of course, you're absolutely right. They're looking at him and saying, you're going to be our beacon. You have the opportunity. You saw the contracts that Kane and Taves signed, respectively, with the Blackhawks. This is going to be a max deal, and it could also be a precedent-setting deal that Steven Stamkos ends up signing. I'm just not sure if it's going to be in Tampa.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I look at him and just watch how he has grown. You just put your general manager's hat on.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to think for Stevie, but what do you get for him? You know, if you decide you can't get this done, what do you get for him? And a number of players coming up behind him that need to be signed. You could keep your team going quite a ways here and stay competitive for a number of years. If this gets a little tenuous as far as getting this done. So I think the position, playing center, is an important part of it. Johnny Cooper did a great job putting one wing in the playoffs. That kind of dried up a little bit. I think he wants to play center.
All right, certainly a storyline we'll be following as the season goes along.
Next year, we welcome in the guy that has to be on the show for our very first one here.
Yeah, no question.
The guy who was never on the bubble, by the way. In his career. The great one, number 99, Wayne Gretzky, joins us right now. Wayne, how are you? How excited are you for the start of a new National Hockey League season?
Yeah, hey guys, how you doing? Yeah, great to be here. Yeah, well, should be an exciting year. Every year seems to get even more exciting, but this one, wow, who knows what's going to happen, and put your hat down and buckle up.
Well, we do have some changes, and one of which, Wayne, is 3-on-3 in overtime. The idea is to have fewer games, go to the shootout. I can't imagine what your Oilers in the early 80s would have done with 3-on-3 play. They changed the rules because you were doing so well with those 4-on-4 situations. What do you think? What do you make of 3-on-3?
Well, I agree with what the league is trying to do. You know, they're trying to get away from, you know, the shootout dictating how many more extra points you get. But when you get to 3-on-3 now, it's more of a hockey challenge, more of a hockey game itself. I would have loved to have had that back in our day with myself and Messi and Coffee, 3-on-3, and the kicker is no red line. That would have been a lot of fun. But I think hockey, I think this is a great move, and I think it's going to be something that fans are going to truly enjoy.
I was going to say you, Yuri Curry, and Paul Coffey, but I guess it's a win-win. Any combination.
About 5,000 points.
I think Taylor has a choice of a few guys he could have thrown out there.
Wayne, what do you think about some of the other moves? Tell us more what you're expecting with Coach's Challenge and just some of the new things here in this upcoming National Hockey League season.
Yeah, you know, this is a huge year because there's so many things and so many scenarios. You know, you look at all the teams of coming off of last season, you know, from, you know, are the Rangers ready to take the next step? Is Washington ready to go to another level? Is Montreal, Tampa as good as they were last year? Can the Blackhawks repeat? And can the Kings get back into the playoffs? And maybe two of the teams are going to see more attention than anybody, Buffalo and Edmonton, with Eichel and McDavid coming into the league. And obviously both those teams are going to be much better this year than they were last year. It's just an exciting time for hockey. Mr. Babcock going to Toronto, and obviously he's going to have a huge influence on the Maple Leafs, not only this year, but for years to come. And it's just one of the things the National Hockey League wanted to do is create parity in the NHL, and, we seem to have done that, and we've talked about this before, heading into down the last month of the season. You have 9 or 10 teams from each conference that have a chance to make the Stanley Cup playoffs, and as you know, if you get in, anybody's capable of winning the Stanley Cup. That's called parity, and that's great for the game.
Wayne, you mentioned Edmonton and Buffalo with those terrific new players coming into hockey here with Connor McDavid, coming to the National Hockey League, Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel. You lived it. What's it like for these guys, do you think, in this era to come in with all the expectations? Can they just settle in and focus on playing?
Well, it's going to be a little bit difficult. I mean, they're going to have a lot more attention than when I came in 1979. There's more media now, there's more cities, there's more attention. National TV, both in the United States and Canada. So it's probably a little bit more difficult for them. When I came in the league in 79, not only was it my first year, but, I was fortunate enough to come in with guys like Messier and Curry and Kevin Lowe, Andy Moe.
Oh yeah, that's right. You played this stuff.
And maybe more importantly, came in with full organizations. Winnipeg, Hartford, Quebec, and Edmonton. People were concentrating more those teams as organizations. Can they play in the NHL? Can they be as good as the NHL coming from the WHA? So I didn't have as much focus as those two young men are going to have, but everything I've seen of both of them, and everything I've read from both of them, from watching both of those players play, they're going to be nothing but great for the National Hockey League. And I think it's going to be exciting for both cities, Buffalo and Edmonton. And boy, it might be the hottest ticket in North America. Edmonton and Buffalo, and Buffalo's in Edmonton this year.
Wayne, every year we love getting your predictions, so you have to give us a Stanley Cup final prediction and a cup winner, even though I know it's very early. Who do you have?
You guys aren't putting me on the hot seat this early. I'm not going to fall for it.
You're good, though.
People get mad, but I think the Ducks are going to be a team to reckon with again this year in the West. I just have so much respect for Perry and Getzlaff as players, and Bruce Boudreau, the coach. I look for the Kings to have a bounce-back year. They've played a lot of hockey over the last few years, especially Dowdy, Kopitar, and Quick. I look for them to rebound. You never go against the ex-Stanley Cup champions, and until somebody knocks Chicago off, they're going to be a tough team. But, in the East, like you guys, if you see it more than I do, any one of those teams can come out of the East. They're so close, they're so easy matched. Goaltending is so good. Anyone can come out of the East. So, buckle up. It's going to be a fun year. May the best team win.
Wayne, great talking with you. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the season. Day one here. Thanks.
All right, you guys take care and enjoy yourself. Bye-bye.
We turn things over back to the World Cup. Congratulations again, head coach, Team USA with the World Cup. So what is this year going to be like for you as you watch some of these players and try to think about your roster throughout the year?
Yeah, it's fun for me because it's new. I'm going to be seeing the game from a different perspective from upstairs. I'll be the one with all the answers as the fans up there have it. Not on a nice level. But it keeps me in tune with the game. It keeps me looking at other coaches, other styles of play. I'm going to be able to hang with Paul Holmgren, our assistant general manager, a little bit, who I just admire. We have our schedule set. We're going to start watching games together. Dean has been fantastic, so I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a great tournament. It's some of the best players in the world. And I'm looking forward to do the work prior to that, to try to help out with the roster.
It's great to be
coaching. You coached as an assistant coach at the Olympics in 2010, so probably really great for you to the stars and stripes and everything.
Yeah, in today's world, and you have to think about that, in today's world, to have an opportunity to do something for your country, I am ecstatic and very fortunate that with the process with Dean, that I was able to be the guy right now, and I'm grateful.
Suppose somebody else comes calling now. I mean, coaches are coaches. NHL, 30 teams.
Yeah.
What?
What do we think?
Well, I'm a Cubs fan, but I don't equate the World Cup to anything with the NHL. This to me is a total separate thing. It's USA, it's your country. Everybody talks about the entertainment of it. All I'm thinking about is winning and wanting to do the best I can for the country in this type of situation. And it's in the sporting world. Other people are doing other real stuff out there. I'm just focused on that. Other stuff happens along the way. That's fine. But I'm really excited about this situation here with the World Cup. I like what you said about the shelf life. We never talked about that.
Like, three guys came out into it.
You guys talk
about that. It's a challenge.
Another guy came and I punched him and knocked him down and I bolted him.
Coach doesn't involve, then there is a little bit of that, right?
Yeah. Shelf life. Scotty Bowman was one of the best at it. But sometimes as a coach, and the athletes are ever changing, and sometimes as a coach, yeah, you need to change and this and that, but you have to be able to look at yourself too, and where you're going as a coach, and not lose yourself completely to make everybody happy around you.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you don't think it's right, you may be completely done. You're out of the game. And that's the thing you juggle as a coach. I still think there's different ways to coach players, today's athlete, and I'd love an opportunity, but I'm one of the fortunate ones, EJ, that I've been able to do it as long as I have. And these young coaches coming up are really good coaches.
Yeah.
John Tortorella, part of our team here at NHL Network, one of the most successful coaches of all time, Stanley Cup champion with the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2004, Jack Adams Award winner. So cool to have you here. Thanks for stopping by, chatting with us today.
Pleasure. I'm looking forward to listening to you on the network this year.
Yeah.
A lot of good insight, a lot of good stuff there.
It's fun. Just the preparation, the meetings, and all that. It's really interesting to me. So I don't screw it up and just.
You'll be good. You'll be good. Heard you made a noise there while I was talking. I saw you in 2004.
That was a long time ago. Way too long ago. I wish I was involved in something like that right now. But it was. That was a blast. That was a bunch of young kids and a young coach that didn't have a clue what they were doing. Just found a way to get it done. And, yeah, that was just had lunch with Marty St. Louis yesterday.
All right.
Very nice.
What was going through your head Game 7? You're in there Game 7. You guys barely won Game 6 up in Calgary. You could have been bumped right out. What do you remember from Game 7? It was tight.
We just, the way we approached it, you don't have to say anything. At that point in time, you're basically on autopilot, both teams. And you're the two best teams that year at that particular time. Enjoy it. Embrace it. And don't test the waters. Just go out and play. And, yeah, again, we had such a young team. We didn't feel any pressure at all because we didn't know what we were doing. And sometimes I wonder, what's better, a young team, inexperienced, and not have a clue about the pressure versus a team that's been there and understands all the things that go with it and the pressure with it. I'm not sure which one is better.
John's going to be part of our Eastern Conference preview show. It'll be coming up after this program. He's going to be with us all season long. Really looking forward to it. Congrats on the World Cup gig. We'll get into that a little bit. But why don't we start with the big story today with Rapid Square's 41-game suspension for that hit on Jakob Silfverberg. What did you think of the hit and the verdict?
Yeah, the hits, is it a 41-game hit? I don't know. Does the 41 games come into 9 other times that he was in a jam here with the league? I think so. But, you know, it's not a clean hit. But, oh, God, 41 games. It's quite a bit. I think we have to be really careful in our league that hitting is allowed. And it seems like as we keep on going through here, guys are putting their arms up when they get hit. A guy hits a guy really hard. He has to fight someone. I'm not saying that's what happened here. But we have to be really careful because it's supposed to be a contact sport. That wasn't clean, but was it a 41-gamer? we'll let other people judge it.
I think it's really, at the end of the day, it's the history.
Yeah.
That has to play into it. And they're not giving 41-game suspensions to anybody.
Yes, and all players involved in this situation know that history comes into play. The guys that have done it before, and he's done it quite a few times, I think 9 other times he's been involved in this, they know that they bring up the history. So it's too bad. It's a lot of games for a player, and not sure when he'll ever learn.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything else in life. If you have a rap sheet, you're going to face a suspension or penalty or whatever it may be. All throughout the show, we're going to talk about the new rules as well here today. I want to get your take on 3-on-3 overtime and how this is going to be coached. That is so fascinating to me. I can't wait to see what it's going to be like.
You know, all I read about is the offense of it, okay? What you're going to do offensively, changes and stuff like that. I'll tell you right now, 30 coaches are trying to figure out a way to defend it. And I'll give you my take how I would defend it. I would play man-on-man. In 5-on-5, it's a zone coverage for me. I think that's the best way to play defense. You go to a zone coverage 3-on-3, there is a lot of ice. I think you need to try to go man-on-man with this here. And so the coaches are talking of, if that play there, I'm going to be showing that tonight, the man-on-man breakdown. And it leaves the best player in the game in the slot area, Perry, to score a goal. I think it's great. 50%, 57% of the game since 05 went to a shootout. Too many. Oh, gosh, it's awful. This is a little unconventional, but it's better than that. At least there are 6 players on the ice. It's a team sport for 65 minutes. And I'm hoping it gets to that 75-80% where it's decided in those overtimes. There's going to be some crazy stuff going on. And the goalies, they're going to be hung out to dry because you can't do nothing. There's going to be chances. And you know that's going to happen. I think you're going to need some great saves to extend it overtime to maybe try to score a goal.
Well, we got a bunch of new coaches in the league this year. We always have changes. As you know all too well how it goes. Hire to be fired, the whole thing. But I want to ask you about Dave Haxtell first off in Philly, because I think that's an interesting one. It seems like a change in culture a little bit in Philly, and also bringing someone in who had a lot of success at the college level, but has not been a coach at the NHL level in any way. What are the challenges for him?
Well, I think in today's game, it's such a young league. I think you need to throw out that college pro stuff, what's going to go on there, because it's such a young league with so many young kids in it. I've heard tremendous things about this guy, Dane Jackson, who I coached in Buffalo and in Rochester as his assistant there. He speaks volumes on it. He's detailed, he's strong, he communicates well. Now that's a tough place to go into no matter who you are as Philly. There's a lot of expectations going on there. I think he's going to do fine. I'm not sure about the team. I'm a little worried about their back end. They'll be able to score a few goals here and there. I'm worried about their back end. But I don't think we should get into that college coach versus the pro player in today's game. Maybe 7-8 years ago, sure. But here you need to throw it out. And I hear he's just a strong person.
And in the case of Jeff Blashill with the Detroit Red Wings, a lot of familiarity there.
Yeah.
In Grand Rapids, now he gets the opportunity behind the bench in Detroit. How much pressure is there following up Mike Babcock and a franchise that would play off 24 straight years?
Yeah, I think they're going to be a good team. I really do. I think I've had a chance to talk to them a couple of times over the phone, and I've listened to his interviews. He has a little bit of juice with him because he's gone through it with these guys here. Judging from what the players, they love Mike. But I think there was time, and I don't believe in the shelf life like you guys talk about with coaches. I don't believe in that. You could tell they needed a different way of being told to him. He'll bring that, and I hear he's just a brilliant coach as far as handling people and handling the exercise.
And the guy that he's replacing, Mike Babcock, goes to Toronto. An entirely different situation there for Mike. How's it going to be for Mike there? He's had the Detroit Red Wings with Zetterberg, Datsyuk, Lidstrom over the years. Great organization. He's had Team Canada, the pick of the litter in Canada. Now he doesn't have that. How's it going to be?
It's going to be tough,
right?
Yes. But I like what they did. And when they sent down the kids, Nylander, Kapanen, and some of these kids are probably at good camps.
But they need to develop.
They're years away from being ready. Now, can Michael handle that? I don't know. He's driven.
I think he knew what he was getting into. As long as him, Brendan, and Lou have a philosophy, a sort of organizational philosophy that they're going to stick with this, they need to stick with it because Toronto, within a couple of years, it's going to take more than a couple of years. That's when they're going to start getting itchy. Not this year, but the following year, come maybe January and February, they're going to see they're going to be out again. That's where they have to stay strong. And I like what they did. They sent a message right away. The kids are going down. We're going to let them develop. We're going to take our time with this and do it the right way.
Second overall, Buffalo Sabres, Jack Eichel, and just as much hype. I mean, everybody's been talking about Jack Eichel for a long time. Unbelievable college career, just the 1 year at BU. But here's where Eichel fits in this whole mix as far as the line combinations are concerned. Definitely a lot of support here as well. Familiar names. Now you throw in Evander Kane and Ryan O'Reilly into this mix. How do you think the fit is going to be for Jack Eichel in Buffalo?
I think it'll be terrific. And, you see some of those names. Evander Kane healthy now. After coming over from that trade last year, we didn't play at the end of last season, ready to go. Ryan O'Reilly, who is a real good fit, is someone's got to be excited to be in Buffalo. Good two-way centerman, a young guy still. A veteran. Look at that between Eichel there. Veterans in Matt Molson, who played with John Tavares and had such good success with Tavares. On the other side, Stanley Cup winner Brian Gianta.
Oh, that's right. They got rid of Molson last year.
Really support him a lot. The thing about this for Sam Reinhart, remember we were talking about him so much last year, he's kind of lost through all this. Now, this is a really talented young guy. David Legwand there as well. This is, I think, so much more improved than Buffalo Sabres group of forwards. But Jack Eichel, again, he's well supported up front. On defense, they've got some injuries in Buffalo. It's a little bit more of a challenge. In goal with Robin Leonard there, we will see if he can carry the mail, just like we will see in Edmonton how it's going to be for Cam Talbot.
I had like a 3-goal lead with like 6 minutes left in the third.
He spent years coaching superstars.
Gave it up. Went to OT, got a penalty, killed the penalty, went down scored.
So that's great. They've got great ownership in Buffalo. It's a time when everybody's excited about things maybe turning around in Buffalo. So again, coming into a situation at the right time. And Jack Eichel, one of the advantages I think he has over Connor McDavid in year one, he is physically mature. He does not look out of place amongst all the men on the rink of the National Hockey League. He is big. He's got the long reach, that long stick. We've already seen that speed in the preseason. He's been a dynamo in some of these shorthanded situations. He could come in and have maybe even a more immediate impact because of his physical stature. He's a big guy, and he's not going to get pushed around even at his young age.
Eichel's going to be living with Matt Molson, so home life, you got that opportunity there. Veteran.
One of our favorites, Matt Molson.
Yeah, great
He
guy.
keep us posted on how everything's going. We've only interviewed him with 6 different teams. We love Matt. He's a good guy. But I think it's great. Molson and Gianta, the lines are going to change. People are going to change. They're going to move things around. But boy, for a young guy coming to the National Hockey League, look at his left, Matt Molson, like I said, a lot of experience with John Tavares. And over to your right, Brian Gianta, the consummate professional, Stanley Cups, and he's played in so many big games in his life. Pretty nice way to go to start your National League career for Jack Eichel with all that focus on it.
You mentioned his coach, Dan Bilesmith, familiarity with playing with or coaching elite players. We saw him a couple weeks ago. A lot of buzz in Buffalo. And the new coach, all these new players. But Dan Bilesmith, the characteristic of the Pittsburgh Penguins, always hardworking, very good, especially the penalty killing aspect. You know that work ethic is going to be there with the Sabres this year.
Well, he understands what it's about to win. His name is on the Stanley Cup. He's coached very good teams in Pittsburgh. He understands what winning is about, and he will bring that culture to Buffalo. It's the same thing in Buffalo as it was in Edmonton. It was a losing mentality, a losing culture. It's been a struggle for several years. Now you have Eichel, you have a new coach there. Your general manager, Tim Murray, is relatively new as well. So it's a different environment in Buffalo. And Dan Bilesmith, again, like Tom McClellan, comes into a great spot. And here's Dan, who, our friend, we worked with him last year on the network. He didn't have to move very far, going from the Pittsburgh area over to Buffalo.
Damn it.
He comes
Scoring brothers.
Great young player there. So it's another great opportunity for Dan Bilesmith. I think it's a great fit, and we wish him the best of luck.
Either team gets in the playoffs?
I don't think so. I just think the competition is too hard. I think Buffalo will be a competitive team in the East, much more so than they were last year. I think the same for Edmonton. But I think at the end of the day, if you're asking me, are they going to be in the top 8? Right now, before we get first face-off on Wednesday, I'm going to say no. Why not? I wouldn't be surprised.
Why not?
Well, you know why
It's
not?
about time. It is a change in the culture we talked about. Fast team. Now they have those elite players. So
I'll tell you why not. Chicago, St. Louis, Nashville,
but they're not all getting back in.
But they're not.
There's going to be some.
All right, start pulling them out. Right? And then also Dallas.
Let's say Winnipeg.
Dallas, Colorado, LA was out last year.
Easy.
So it won't be easy. That's all I'm saying. I agree with you. Will they be better? Yes. Will they be more fun to watch? Absolutely. Tom McClellan will come in. He's an experienced coach. They've got really good young players. There's every reason to think they're going to be better. But the bottom line is we got to start pulling teams out of that 8. Pull Winnipeg out. Okay, you want to put Edmonton in? You're putting them in ahead of Dallas, Colorado, LA.
Not saying they're going to miss someday, but you go back last year, we said, oh, no way, Colorado, Dallas.
Yeah.
They're going to fight for sure.
Definitely a possibility.
Always there's a step back. There's only one team you think is going to be in, and most likely it just doesn't happen. And that opens the door for an Edmonton or a Buffalo. And
I'm not guaranteeing that everybody looked at Dallas. They always love their moves. They're going to be in. Hey, I still think they got challenges on defense. And I'm not so sure Letton and Nampi are going to be the answer in goal. So that's an issue. Colorado, I'm hearing some of those young forwards, and it's not working out quite as much as people think. So I want to see with Colorado, what kind of starter they can get off to.
Colorado will be better.
You say that, but I mean, last year we thought, oh, they're going to be flying.
Best defense, they'll be good.
We'll see. They got to mesh. It's got to come together. So at the end of the day, I think to your point about Edmonton, definitely much more competitive. Do they have a chance? I think, yeah, because almost everybody has a chance in this league that's so tight. But if you ask me now, I look at it, I just say, it's just too many teams to climb over. We're in their own province. They've got the Calgary Flames over there. Calgary's got to worry about getting back in. And they've got a really good young team that's been on that right track for a couple of years. But it's got to be exciting for the fans at Edmonton. It'll be fun to watch them this year. They'll be more competitive. But I still say they're on the outside looking in. We'll see.
Let's bring back the East and the Buffalo Sabres, and a huge addition. We sort of forgot about last year because of his injury, but Evander Kane, now a Buffalo Sabre, you saw him with those projected lines, can certainly be an elite player. Don't you think he's healthy now? And most importantly, a fresh start for Evander Kane. Don't you think that he could have a huge year?
I think so, and I believe a fresh start is great for us to think about, but it's up to the individual to take advantage of that. Now, he's healthy. He's in Buffalo. This is a market that's just really eager for success and for winning. And I'm a big Evander Kane fan. You know, we've talked about it for years now. This guy is talented. It's a speed game now, and this guy can fly. He's got great acceleration. And he's someone that can score off the wing, can score from distance with the shot. He's got all the tools. The question will be, will he mature as a person and a player? Will he mesh with the people in Buffalo, with the Dan Biles and that group? But I'm willing to say yes, because I just think he's got a lot of talent. He's ready. But it's up to the individual. We talk about second chances all the time. The individual has to be willing to embrace that and understand it. From the outside, we see it easy. But sometimes the person themselves, they're not ready to accept it. So we'll watch and see how things go. But he's definitely got to be happy to be out of Winnipeg, where it just wasn't working out for him.
Previously Atlanta, so this is a big opportunity for Evander Kane. Also a huge opportunity for Ryan O'Reilly, as he is now a member of the Buffalo Sabres with a big trade coming over from the Colorado Avalanche. So this is the type of player that can come in, give some support to Jack Eichel, and maybe he could be one of the key players and one of the players that they build around. This whole rebuild, you can't just go kids. You got to have some experienced players and top-end players, right?
Well, he's a young guy and he's experienced. So, you know, that's the thing. He's one of those guys that he's been in the league since he's 18, so we think he's like 40 when he's really like 23. He got the big contract now, so when you say they're going to, build around him, well, they are. They've committed. They've given him a long contract, a lot of money. That's all behind. I remember in Colorado, it was always about the contract and how things were going to work out. That's over now. And I think eventually Jack Eichel will be the #1 franchise center there, and eventually Ryan O'Reilly will be a really nice #2 center behind him. So I think it really could work out great for him, and we will just see how things play out. But he'll be someone that Jack Eichel can lean on a little bit and learn from in the first year of his NHL career.
Forget about Sam Reinhart. That's a great point.
I know.
It's so good.
It's a great spot for Sam Reinhart. He can just come in and just go about the business of learning how to play in the National Hockey League without the intense spotlight, which will be shining on Jack Eichel.
A little sleeper, maybe for your fantasy, whatever it is you might have. Just keep that, even if it's down the road. big week for these two gentlemen, Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel. NHL debuts after incredible years. One in college, in the case of Jack Eichel at BU. Connor McDavid played for Erie, the OHL, racked up the numbers. Both these guys did incredible accomplishments last year. And I just want to talk about these players because they are the future of the game. And there's so much hype going into the season for both these guys, especially Connor McDavid being north of the border in Edmonton. He was the first overall pick. You see the potential line combinations for the Edmonton Oilers and where McDavid fits in here. Does he have enough support? And the Oilers have been
Really, they're going to start him as first liner? No way. I think they should switch him and Nugent Hopkins.
There's a lot of talented players within that group, so there's support there. Is there enough support on the back end of defense? Well, that's a question we're going to have to see throughout the season. And we're also going to have to watch. We have supporting goalie in Cam Talbot, keeping them in games in Edmonton. But on another level, think about all this change off the ice in Edmonton. Tom McClellan, experienced coach, really is someone that has a lot of, has been through all of it. He's a great guy for Connor McDavid to lean on. Peter Chiarelli, general manager, has won the Stanley Cup with the Boston Bruins. He's been at it a while now. Another guy to lean on a little bit. And Bob Nicholson, who was with Hockey Canada for so long, and now he's the director with the Edmonton Oilers there, the president of the team, the director. And he is another guy that provides, just really good experience and credibility to this organization. So Connor McDavid is coming to the Edmonton Oilers at just the right time because they have a lot better things in place now than they did at this time last year or the year before that. Time will tell how he fits into things, but this is a special player. Both McDavid and Eichel, to me, I can't say it enough. Fans think we're hyping him. Watch them play. Special players. They're going to be, barring something unforeseen injury, these guys are going to be on the radar in the National Hockey League for the next 15 or 20 years.
Great news that it's a better culture in Edmonton for Connor McDavid. I'll give you a great example. They started off the preseason 6-0. Really good start for the Edmonton Oilers. 17 they lose to Vancouver. Didn't play really well, 5-2. You think, oh, no big deal. It's one preseason game. Bag skate after losing that one game. Todd McClellan said, we're getting all of his old tendencies out of the way.
Change the culture.
And changing the culture there. It's been a losing one loss in the preseason, and there was the punishment skate just to deliver the message and set the right tone. So that's some good news.
They can't be winning is great and losing is okay. It has to be losing is not acceptable at the professional level. Tom McClellan understands that he's coached with so many different circumstances. He's been in San Jose for many years. Before that, he was an assistant with Mike Babcock when the Red Wings won the Cup in 2008. He worked with Jacques Lemaire, the Minnesota organization, the minors. He has had so much experience, and I thought he did a nice job in San Jose. It was probably time for a change there. He gets to go to Edmonton and work with this really good young team. And something I said last year, Steve, we talked about it. Another benefit is he coached in the division against the Edmonton Oilers. He knows the personnel that was there. He's seen them a lot, so it gives him a little bit of leg up going into things. He knew what he was getting into. And then he gets into a great spot with Connor McDavid showing up. So for Todd, we wish him and his staff nothing but the best. But it's a great time for Connor McDavid to go to Edmonton. Much better than if he would have been drafted 2 or 3 years ago.
Literally winning the lottery and getting Connor McDavid with the first overall pick.
Having reached game 1, I'm asking you to look forward. 82 games now. Eastern Conference, give me your first round playoff matchups.
Well, let's take a look at this here. One thing that I do know is when you look at the East, I think it's much improved last year. And I'm looking at this right off the bat, and I'm saying the Tampa Bay Lightning against the Penguins. That is going to be a track meet, no question about it. Just beneath that, Rangers and Blue Jackets. Interesting one there because there's a lot of guys that have worn both jerseys, so there's a lot of pride there, as you know, Coach. Okay, over on the right-hand side, original 6 matchup with the Canadians and Red Wings. I think the Red Wings get in with Jeff Blashill. I don't think the Habs are going to be as strong as they were last year. And lastly, on the bottom right of the screen, I think this too will set up to be a great matchup. John Tavares is a top 5, top 3 player in the world, and we know what Alexander Ovechkin is. He's the best pure goal scorer that we have right now. So that's my Eastern Conference playoff picture. No Ottawa Senators in there, you notice that. No Boston Bruins in there, you notice that. But that's the way I'm looking right now based on what I've seen in the offseason and how I project things to play out.
And who's your Eastern Conference champ?
I got the Rangers coming out of the East. I think in the Eastern Conference final it will be the Rangers up against the Tampa Bay Lightning once again. And I think it's going to go to 7 games. Derek Stepan continues to get better for the Rangers. I believe the Rangers have the best blue line, arguably in hockey, but certainly in the Eastern Conference. The most depth, without question. You've got Yandel playing in the third period. That tells you everything you need to know. But for that to be made possible, Rick Nash needs to take his game through the 82-game schedule and play the way he's capable of playing in the playoffs, the way he does in the regular season. That's what Rick Nash needs to do now. I like Hayes. He continues to get better. You were talking about him, but I just think that this Rangers team has a limited window for where they can still have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. It needs to be this year for that group.
No surprise here. You said Buffalo wasn't going to make the playoffs emphatically earlier, so who is going to make the playoffs? The first-round matchups in the East for you, Toys.
Well, I'll go with, I'm going to go with the Lightning versus the Canadians. Canadians sneak in as a wild card team. Capitals versus the Penguins. The Penguins, if they can get it straightened out team concept-wise, I think that's so important for Pittsburgh for them to get in. I think everybody thinks they're going to kind of scream it because of this deal. I still see a lot of pitfalls there with that club there. The Red Wings, as I said earlier, I think they're going to have a really good team this year with that youth and the coach coming in with a little bit of a different attitude. Boston's in. They're in. Think so? They're in. They're going to play for their coach. Krejci needs to stay healthy, and I think Rask is going to have a great year. And the Blue Jackets, 500-plus injured games last year. I just look at them and some of the deals that they've made. That's going to be a team to be reckoned with. And I think it's a team that doesn't feel the pressure. They're new at it, and I lived it in Tampa a long time ago. We won it. When you don't feel it, you just play. I think it's a really good thing to have as a club.
What team's coming out of the East for you?
No question the Lightning are going to come back out. I think they have the best team on paper. I think they're well coached. I think they play the game the right way with speed, get pinching down the walls, and their defense. I mean, Hedman came on. I couldn't believe how well he played watching under so much scrutiny in that playoff series in Chicago. Strawman, who I had in New York, has turned into just a great player for them. Garrison, they've got a good back end. They have it all. It's a matter of don't get the disease of me. When you have some success, they didn't win it, but they were a really good team. Make sure you come back and play under a strict team concept, and don't get away from what you did as a team. It happens sometimes when you have some success, you forget about some of those things, and you get a little bit of the disease of me, and you kind of branch off. You got to stay together.
Most improved D-line, too. Most improved defensive core in all of hockey is Tampa. Steve Eisman's done a great job there on that.
See, I'm just writing all these things down, all the predictions that we made this last hour, and come April, we're going to look back, and you guys are going to look like absolute geniuses.
I like that. Instead of doofuses, yeah.
Good genius. I was earlier. Please hear about the sophomore slump. Torts, give me a sophomore standout this season for you.
Kevin Hayes. I love what he did in the playoffs for the Rangers. I think he's going to probably start off at wing as a top 6 forward here for the Rangers as the season starts. I'd like to see him in the middle. I think Miller has to step up and maybe grab a top 6 spot, and then you can put Hayes in that 3rd slot. I just think the puck follows him around. And he just impressed me so much how he handled himself in a really a big stage situation with the Rangers.
Well, I love Hayes, and I love what he brought. He was a natural, big-body, skilled player that made big plays for the Rangers all season. But I'm going on the back end. It's always difficult to be able to come into the National Hockey League at any position, let alone on D. You have to check this guy's passport. I remember asking Roberto Walker last year, Bert, tell me a little bit about this Ekblad guy. He's like, are you kidding me? This guy plays like he's been in the league for 18 years, not 18 years old. Had over 70% of the votes last year as the Calder Trophy winner and deserved.
No, son of a bitch!
Calder Trophy.
You are fucking me.
He's every bit as good as advertised. Talking long ice, talking off the ice. He's a man. He's smooth. He's professional. He's hardworking. He's humble. He wants to be great. When he was at All-Star Weekend in Columbus,
God damn it! I had it. I got the tie. 15 seconds left. They fucking go down and score.
Jameson, yes, our special guest is Elliot Friedman. He's our NHL Network insider here to give us the inside scoop on things around the National Hockey League. And Elliot, with the start of the regular season rapidly approaching, there's some pretty interesting waiver moves. What are some of the bigger ones?
So match playing without a lot of sleep, I would guess.
That's not cool.
He's totally relaxed. The nervous times pass.
Potential in the front, deflection. Goes pass off to Oshie. 1-0 Washington.
We're going to see next Saturday. Beautiful pass. It's a feather pass with a little elevation zone. Nice crisscross there. And there's the finish. Well done. That is a well-executed offensive rush. Oshie on the finish.
That was Pellich taking his life in his hand.
Look at that. 15 seconds left.
There's a feed for Oshie, give it right back.
15 seconds left. I score.
Beautiful in 8 seconds after that.
Then they fucking go down, fucking score.
Just work the puck with Oshie, get the secondary assist. But look at the way he lays it across. And that was a concern. Who's going to be able to throw it into the wheelhouse of Alex Ovechkin? Well, that's a simplified play. It goes right to line number 1, Joe. It's got good speed and velocity. The shot is second to none. And there's no way a goaltender can recover moving from one pipe to the other with Alex Ovechkin shooting the puck.
Spinning around like a top in the cage. Capitals buzzing on the power play. Ovechkin fires and scores. A sizzler.
Hear that?
Williams is
Hear that, Ryan?
All over the place.
What?
But here you can't do anything.
Ovechkin scores.
And there's that slap shot. And he is probably as amazed as everyone else is. Watch where this puck goes. That short side shove. Right past the mask. He just tees it up. Great isolation on CSN. Has the defender. The goalie looks around. All he hears is a little clink and clank behind him. Throwing in and out. Alex Ovechkin's got his second tonight.
Former Boston University Terrier straight goes down the wing for Zidlitsky. Intercepting there for Washington. Wilson. Nice pass to Beagle. Fires, he scores! Holy moly! Jay Beagle hits the highlight reel.
Big Willie. Watch this soft backhand pass. Curl and drag extraordinaire by Beags. Look at how he pulls it around two different guys, Joe. Changes the angle, and that is upstairs with the peanut butter. What a shot. 2-0 Caps. He was built for that type of time.
All the while we were saying, when's Dimitri going back? We're going to see it. We're going to see it. And that was the case. Nielsen gives go. Poso, that's pretty. Upstairs for Kyle Poso.
Goes wide. Nice little play. Nielsen, a little bit of a sauce to get past the defender, Nate Schmidt. And it lands right on the play. But watch him pick it up in his backhand and immediately go to his forehand. And Nielsen was probably going to shoot on the backhand. He had the net staring at him.
No attempt to play the puck and took the legs out from the attack. Johansson took the number 2 with another idea. Right back to 92. Carlson fired left to see the top goal here. Pitching this one to
a little more aggressive. Here he gets the puck back, and there you see the little change in direction. Hard, long range shot. He had Oshie in the front. Not sure if he got a piece of that on the way to the net.
It's kicked away by Jalbert. Chicago's lugging it along in their own end. It's a 2-on-2. Could be an opportunity here. Drives to the crease.
There's a feed for Oshie.
He heads right for the net.
His net's up.
Terrific save on a great chance.
You want to score goals, you have to go in this area. You got to find a way to put it in the net.
Just work the puck with Oshie or
The Blues with possession in their own end. Passing one out to Berkey. Chicago's back to full strength. They've killed off the penalty. Possession seized by Schwartz. Capel to Bouwmeester. 2 sticks together, they can't find.
It's got good speed and velocity. The shot is second to none. And there's no way a goaltender can recover.
Chicago's continuing on through center ice.
Without Ovechkin shooting the puck.
Huge stop by Elliott. Carries it up the side. Gets that pass after he himself advanced. Puck checked away by King. Chicago's lugging it along. Great job to slip it. And there's the pass. Puck is thrown to King.
And it goes. Oscar has a chance to be with Daniel, but Brown finished up the middle. You're right. He read the play not very well. Here's Nugent Hopkins coming back. When it bends the curve, Schultz carries the goal to Henry. And Nugent Hopkins gets the gas. 3-on-3, you have to read your play really well.
Lots of time remaining in this first period, and the rest of the game are close. Detroit then. The Blues have it in center ice. Can he generate something? Gathered in by Gleason. Possession seized by Anisimov. Dragged through the neutral zone by Sutter. That's a good Sutter deep. Outstanding save. Difficult opportunity. You don't get many better opportunities than that. Great save. Save. The Blues hopefully shifting from defense to offense. Moves to the very center ice by Bergen.
Now again, back
Near the blue line to Gunnarsson. On the iron with the shot.
led the team in goals last year with 29.
Sweeping save.
Now in front goes Hockey.
Could this be action? And it will be based on the defense around the first. Good face-off.
This is a skilled move.
Heads up.
He turns, he gets to watch it. Stick it up, turns,
Directed
stick it
that
up,
one to
back
Gallagher.
in. See?
Moves up the side with it now. And he's tripped and he'll be picked.
I think this one
The
probably
Blues are locked on tripping. Chicago's getting their first chance of the game on the power.
get away as much as anyone. That's
Big face-off win. Just under 6 minutes still to play in this period. Chicago's advantage in this game has just been enhanced. It's a very good. Keeps it going through the center zone. Loose puck. Arquette. To Kane. With the The Blues with possession in the defensive zone between the blue line. Great chance here to wonderful stop. Seems like he was in two chances the whole time. Big save there to the point. Up to punch to the trenches. Wonderful save on the redirect. Trying to go to the other kill. Pitching it to Kane. He's right. Great save. Point blank. Great job. Or slashing. Chicago's power play has been strong. they get twice on this foul. Can't get it on net. He was trying to be a little bit too fine there. That's why he missed the net. Good job of clearing. Taken over now by Seaford. Nice pass right up the gut. A shot. Wonderful save. The skill level there.
Hits the linesman, and you can see that's foul.
And he freezes for the whistle.
Creates the 2-on-1 on the shoot, and Nugent Hopkins catches in. And
we have a little under 3 minutes off the clock here in the second. Chicago's yielded a goal, but they've got the advantage by 3. St. Louis in their own end, loving that
fired it straight on the boards. He's where he's supposed to be.
Chicago's back to play in their own end as the clock ticks down on the power play. Gets one by. Great opportunity, but the pass didn't connect. Puck taken hold of by Jalmerson.
It's a 1-on-2.
Hard work for possession. The Blues with a big penalty kill. We're back at full strength. A shot. Marvelous save by Allen. That is a sweet save there. The Blues continuing on through center ice.
And you don't like to see that goal from there necessarily because
kicked out the front. Picked up in the attacking zone.
area, but you can't go through the goal.
You don't want to see the goaltender flash his glove like that.
Have a 1-0 lead.
Good standing post.
Did have a lane for an open net.
Montreal 1 for 2 on the power play.
And he is jolted into the stand. I hope he's a good wrestling fan because he just went into the turnbuckle.
Get ahead of the players. Don't need a deep play. Right back. Down low and then through the seat. Right back up to the top. And what happens is a lane and then straight seats. He tries to front it. Hunter doesn't get a look at it, but it's worked by Bolio. Walks the line and then throws it back. What does it do? It opens up that seam for Galchenyuk to walk right downtown, and he fires it. High blocker on the Hunter who doesn't track it properly, and it's in the net.
Swept on to Steen. Moving it to Stastny.
For sure.
He got it in. Got that in the trapper. Oh, that puck just hit his glove. Chicago's continuing on in their own end. Pitching this one to Hayes. Heads to the board. Pushing wide. With a shot. Here's one of those times where you look at the net and there's nothing there. That's where you just got to shoot for the sake of the net. They've got that slide across. Shook right through. Got his stick on it.
He had a little more time than he thought he would.
Passing one on now to Hayes.
Taking right up the middle. He wrinkles it up.
Chicago's done a wonderful job of penalty killing, and so have Hockey. Puck is thrown to Backes.
Go to St. John's in the American
Moves it
League.
to the barrier in center ice. That just loses that puck while faking in the offensive zone. He tried to do way too much there. Outside his box. Somebody got over
May
it.
hit a stick on the way in, just from the reaction of Tokarski. Right there, stick on puck. Galchenyuk just tries to
Ties his man up,
deflect that
so the
up.
puck goes to his
Tokarski's
team.
in position to slides underneath his
Snapping a
hold
pass
now.
to Kane.
That's a stoppable puck.
He gets through
From there.
Nice.
It's a wide angle,
Shakes him loose.
regardless of
Carried to the
change
corner
direction or
boards
not.
by
He's got
Gabriel
enough time to
Landeskog.
react to that. He
Drains
slides
one.
underneath the
Turn
shoulders of
aside.
the bullet. That's not the goal
Back
you
in
want to
his
start with.
defensive end
On
to
your
get
first shot of the game, if you're
And they've got a 3-on-2 here.
in the preseason.
Chicago starting back in their own end. Pointed to Schwartz. Terrific save. Terrific opportunity. He missed the opportunity from this close in. Puck over the glass. No penalty, and finally they can rest.
Starts his play, Nugent Hopkins. He's been enforced.
Mark's focus has to be staying in front of the net because he chases the puck out of position. Scoring chance results.
Takes him, but doesn't take the stick. And Pouliot, well, you can see Spee's reaction.
A little under 8 minutes still to be skated. A 3-goal edge on the big board. It says 4-1. Good play there. Chicago's on the move in the defensive zone. Near the boards. It's an odd man rush. It's a 3-on-2. Marvelous save. A great chance. And now no chance. Possession taken over by Aaron Gambler. He scores! Maybe it's a high stick. They're going to signal. No goal. Maybe the Flyers looks like they will. The referee way down the hall. I'm not too sure about that. We're going to go upstairs and take another look. So we will too.
What a pass from the captain. Blackhawks strike on the power play. It's 1-0. little bit of a screen there to see Tokarski really reacts on the play because he's trying to find the puck, but Stone, some nice little plays. He cuts towards the middle, gives himself a better angle. Jason skates across the sideline of Tokarski.
Just about everything as his team leads.
LaPon chips it in deep. After it is Calypso. LaPon off the backboards. Sends it back. Into the high slot. Caught back. Sherratt scores!
And it's kicked away by
And Sherratt gets his third of the preseason.
This is just a great open by J.C. LaPon. He stays on top of the puck. Chucks out right for Bistro in the slot. Little play down to Sherratt. And he goes short side.
pitching it to Skinner.
A beautiful shot by Ben Sherratt. He has his third of the preseason, and the Jets have a 2-0 lead here in period number 2.
Score from in that area. Great save.
Pass to the
Right
slot.
up under the bar. Bar down for Ben Sherratt.
Slot shot. That's what those
Blues are winning this shot.
sends it across the blue line. Ticked away. Skates out with it. Still no shot.
His weight and a full
Looking to
so flag his man. Just as like Ken Talbot.
Well, guys, he didn't see him coming until the last minute. That's a pretty solid shot.
Lander is coming back.
They only trail St. Louis has found its way back into this game. Maybe they can chip away further and make it only a one-goal deficit or even to tie it before the end of the period.
Long-time CBA broadcaster and massive Senators fan, Max Keeping.
Chicago's got possession in their own end. Pass attempt to Kane.
La capitale nationale annonce une
Strong play,
légende.
good reach.
Chef d'antenne de longue date de CBOH. Très grand partisan des Sénateurs, Max Keeping, a battu sa bataille contre les
Long lead
cancers.
pass to Tarasenko.
Max was a superhero
To
for
the
us.
backhand.
He
Blocked
had a
away.
passion for Chio and was there every year for the telethon. He helped raise
We played two
millions for
periods
so many
here on a
causes in our
three-period
city.
game.
He signed off every
Best part of the
newscast the
day
same way.
is coming up.
Take a moment to make a difference in the life of a child. Rest in peace, Max Keeping.
We are entering the third period. Based on the
Please
first
turn
two,
your
what
attention
are
now
you
to the
expecting?
scoreboard for a video and tribute to
Blues
our
have had the better of
friends.
the play, Doc, especially in the category of time of possession. They're down to this third period. They have to start finishing off some of their chances.
2-on-1. Nice move to shake on through. Blues have struck back, only trailing by a single goal, and we're in the dramatic third period. That one's completed straight up to Gabrick. What a shot, but it's off the post! The Blues with possession in center ice. Broke that play up and center. And now possession in the neutral zone by Shackelberg. The puck is grabbed in the defensive zone by Zebra. Chicago's carrying it on through the area between the blue lines. Moving it to Laterra.
Yes.
Got on fire with that one. Pitching this one to Shaw. Great shooting position and magnificent pass. And the puck is grabbed by Graham Gabrick. Shoot through great. Oh, tremendous stop by Allen.
A quality chance, a better save.
Closing one off now to Yaskin. Takes it up near the boards. Chicago's in their own end and controlling play. Check to Torres. Good job with the neutralized interceptor. Looking for options through the neutral zone. Possession reestablished by Kane.
I've given up like 3 goals.
Snapping a pass to
That's for
Laid on to Butler. Directing that one to Yaskin.
play here. Here's the first nice play. Abdelkader off the boards to Green. Good joint to run. Then a nice pass right across the front. Langwood to an eye at the back of his head. And Zetterberg returns it in there. Nobody looked at him. And he puts it through Ryman Bay Street. Look at that thing. Bang, bang. Here he goes. Here he comes here. Wolf carries it up the wing. Nobody looked. But Joe Beninati kept locked on upstairs.
Wonderful stuff. Not often you're all in front of the goaltender from this area of the ice. Great save.
Over 8 minutes remaining in the third. The lead has just been cut in half. Let's see if momentum changes now. Back near the blue line to Barry.
Good opportunity to regroup here after that save, but now they got to win a defensive zone face-off.
Sometimes you got to be in good position just to make the stop. Sometimes you got to be lucky. This puck changes direction and ends up hitting the goaltender more than it stops him.
Clean line.
The Blues love the puck in their own end. Can he generate something?
Take the shot here.
Forcing extension indeed. Good stop defensive play this time. Off the receiver. Moves it to the shadow of the board. Great job to slip on the puck.
The heel of his stick.
That's attempt to back us. Now it's directed to Bucks. Puck held near the point. Could not be filtered through on the long play by Ortiz. Good work out front on that shot. The Blues in possession as they travel through center. Good work. Stepped on pass. Great glove save.
Now he thought he had him on a close side.
A shot.
That terrific save is going to give the French a huge lift.
The Blues are boxed for 2 minutes. The ball is slashing. Anything to do?
There are 125 players who were in the National Hockey League last year who do not have a contract this year. Times here are changing as Zetterberg and he got it 3-0. Abdelkader and Barry.
Could be 9-8 here before we're done. 2 goals within 2.5 minutes. He wasn't going to go. All of a sudden he saw a large opening. It's almost a broken play. And Ryder, what he was looking at. See Zetterberg right there. He's trying to not just go for it. He pans on his own stick handler right here. And they don't cover.
Chicago's rebooking in the defensive zone.
What's your goaltender here? What's he doing? Yeah, he should have been over there. He should have been over there quicker. Didn't. And short side was vulnerable. It's 1-1.
Good chance here. He's got a wonderful centering pass.
Good job with the stick. Kuznetsov.
St. Louis on the move now in the defensive zone. Loose puck captured by Chalmers. Moving it to Torres.
Backhand forehand
St.
and
Louis
shot.
enormous
Before you know it, the goalie looks around and gets along the bottom of the net. Just a goal scorer's goal. They're tying up for the Capitals captain here in the third.
Pitching this one to
Kuznetsov with a delivery.
passing one off.
And then the handiwork of number 8 has tied it at 17-26.
I'm not sure if this coach wants him playing like that.
Chicago's up the wing, controlling play.
Opportunity, but he missed it.
Towards the front of the goal, he
Sealed the deal up by one. Man rush to Marchand.
Nice fake to shake his way through. Tremendous puck check.
He gets a second whack and wraps it around the right thing for the goaltender.
Not Marchand, but Louis Erickson in touch.
Taking 2 opportunities. Nice view here. Tonight on CSN, there's a double whack. Louis Erickson, who was one of the top forwards last year. When you look at numbers,
Chicago's controlling the play.
those goals. That's what they need from him. This is a goal-starved hockey team. Last
thrown to Laterra.
they want more offense this year, and they strike first here in
Puck is
Washington.
scooped up by Barry.
Unable to get to the puck with Brookstrom. Now it's
Right in
Zetterberg for the
front.
puck. Backhand to the net. The Blue Jackets take a 4-0 lead on a first release.
What they're thinking.
Well, I gave up 3. I was up 5-2 at one point. On the TV, I lost the game with 7 seconds left last year. I tied it with 15, lost it with 7.
Picked up in his own end by Buck. Still has it through center, thrown in. Chicago's in their own end, and in possession.
You got to be careful for Cody Crossan. He gets a step on Cody, just kind of fires it short side up top. Luka's got the first goal here, or the second goal of the night.
Shout out thanks to including newcomers with us in the booth.
Behind the play, yeah, we're going after DJ Ocean behind the play.
McQuaid wants a piece of him. That's a tough scrap for TJ.
Scrap you want.
McQuaid has awfully long